Okay, Matt. So we're back. If anyone's paying attention, I have a little bit different angle recording
Look at this
away
lighting you
from
got.
my normal station. I know, it's crazy. A little bit different location for me. So if there's technical difficulties, please bear with me. Um, but good to have to record here when I'm short on time. So uh anyway, let's get into some basketball talk since we're finally in that home stretch where regular season games now feel like there's a little bit more weight to every single one. And let's start off with the Lakers as we usually do, Matt. So pretty big stretch of games, like I kind of touched on last week, right? They were gonna go on this really tough run of teams, and honestly, not too bad, I would say so far. But let's first talk about the GOAT himself, King James. Uh, yeah, put the crown on because we got to talk about another milestone that he hit, which is actually just insane if you think about it. Uh, First player in NBA history, maybe the only for a long, long time, to get 40,000 career points. So that's just, I mean, kind of ridiculous, right, to think about. Um, I truly don't know if a record like that will be broken in our lifetime. Well, with how offenses are going, I guess we'll see. But first, yeah, we got to tip our cap to the king, eclipsing 40,000 points. Unfortunately, couldn't get the win in that game, but I don't know, Matt, is there anything you wanted to speak to with LeBron hitting 40,000 career points?
I mean, I think that just speaks to the testament of his greatness. And really, he's arguably one of the best athletes, not just basketball player, best athletes of all time. I mean, I think I saw a stat where if someone was to hit 40,000 points, they would need to average, let's say, 30 points a season. They would have to play like 21 seasons and play at least like 65 to 68 games, which is ridiculous. Because basically you're playing for the most part every day with a little, days off here and there. But for the most part, you can't have a significant injury and you're not going to miss significant amount of time. So it's truly crazy. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen with how the game is now, just because of the fact players like to load manage, right? They're just, I'm going to take this night off. No big deal. It's just a different era, right? From what we grew up watching with Kobe, that era. Even before that with MJ, they always wanted to play every single night, but just it's just a new era of athletes, new era of basketball. So just I don't think we're ever going to see something like this for a really, really long time. But I will say if there is one person that's gonna be, I'm not gonna name a person or a player. I really don't know who it's gonna be. It has to be someone like LeBron, where it's like they come out really early. They come into the league at 18 or 19 years old, and they just gotta stay healthy. That's really what it is. Like now, guys, like they go into the NBA 19, 20, but then they develop, for a couple years. So maybe they're good at like 23. Well, LeBron was good at 18 years old, so he already had a 5 year basically head start on you. So yeah, like I mean, it's just like it's crazy how quickly he became really the chosen one, really in the NBA, and he's been able to sustain it every single year. So just I mean, I'm in awe with whatever this guy does. Honestly, he's the GOAT in my opinion, but for anyone that thinks it's MJ or whoever it is, like you have to respect the career that he had. Like, just respect him. You don't have to like him, but you just gotta respect the work ethic and the things that he does to change the game. I mean, it's special. It's special to me, and I'm glad I get to witness his career full on.
Yeah, I agree. Just speaking on, what you brought up, the longevity is the part where I think I really don't know. Um, if we'll ever get to see something like that again. Um, and yeah, it's just really crazy. I don't know. I think the part that you brought up is really interesting with the load management, right? Because, yeah, who is going to be able to sustain a career like that anymore? I just don't really see it happening, to be quite honest with you. Um, and he, like, you want to talk about the chosen one? I think his body type is like one of the only ones that could sustain that level of greatness. So it's gonna have to be, I think, some kind of wing or guard, but that's
A big
also,
guard.
yeah, you got to be kind of to, withstand the wear and tear of not only an NBA season, 20 plus consecutive seasons, or 20 seasons if it's not consecutive, but 20 seasons scoring at an elite level, right? Because he doesn't rely necessarily on quickness, although he is, still pretty fast for almost 40 years old, right? Um, but his game, he has a three-level scoring ability, and he's
Hmm.
always had that. So it's like he can always go back to one thing. He can still drive the ball. He has his, mid-range that he's kind of developed more over the course of his career. And now the three ball, he's shooting, I think if it's not at 40 now, uh right around 40% from three this year, which is insane, to really think about. But yeah, I just really don't know if we will get to see that, Matt. And I think exactly what you said. It's gonna have to be someone, that comes into the league young, but sustains a high level from day one. Because LeBron came out of the gate at 18, you flash back to all those Cavs interviews that were happening before he got drafted. Oh, he's not going to change much. He's still going to be just a kid. And, he comes on and he's just the best player on their team as an 18-year-old, right? So I don't know. I think we really are lucky to get to see that. And I don't know if we're going to ever be able to see a career like he's had ever again um, at the level he's at. So got to tip our hat to the king. But let's get into the games and the slate that they're kind of breaking into. So since the last week, not too bad. They have gone surprisingly 3-1. So going in order of the games, uh I don't know, the Clippers game, Matt. So I know you weren't watching because you had baseball, but I was watching the game um as I was I was listening to the game as I was, finishing up stuff at work, and then I went to the gym after. And in that period, it just so happened, I was watching or the end of the third quarter, middle of the third quarter ish, and they were down, big, like 15. Going into the fourth, they were down what, 21, I believe.
21
20 or
points.
20, yeah, 21 points. I was like, okay, well, yeah, this one was going to be a tough one. I know they didn't have Paul George, right? But the Clippers are still a good team, one of our top contenders, right? So I was like, okay, this one's going to happen. We still got a lot of game left. Then I get to the gym and it's playing on TV, and I'm like, wait, it's a 5 point game now? What just happened? Middle of the fourth quarter, and LeBron just went absolutely insane. I mean, you want to talk about still putting the team on your back at that, at his age, literally just coming down the court, everyone get out of the way, and I'm just gonna go ISO, or I'm just gonna hit deep three after step back three, after pull up in transition three. I'm like, what is going on? He's just unconscious right now. And pull them back. And this game to me, Matt, was kind of the game where I got the confidence again, because I said that this Lakers team was capable. I know a lot of people had some disagreements with them being one of my top contenders, right? But I thought that game in itself, we're keep in mind, yes, the Clippers didn't have Paul George, but the way they were able to finally execute in crunch time with their defense. With okay, yeah, it was LeBron, maybe not the most sustainable offense when it comes to the playoffs, but just showed me enough that this team, is ready. D'Angelo Russell hitting the big three in that one, right? Um the no hitch three, I guess you could say, um, in that one. So to me, that was a game for the Lakers to really build their confidence, especially against the Clippers too, who's their rival and are now get to end their last game in Staples as a home team on a loss. So that feels good. They can go into their new arena that is getting broken into um, by teenagers. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, it'll be
When
good.
did that happen? Sorry to change the topic,
No, it
but
was like
what?
the past couple, I don't know if it was yesterday or today. Um, but yeah, two teenagers recorded themselves breaking in to the Clippers' new arena, and I don't know if they vandalized it or whatever, but they like filmed it and they released it. So I don't know what is going on. Clippers, the new stadium or the new arena, I should say, is already
The
off to a
Intuit
hot
Arena,
start.
right? Or what
Yeah,
is it called now? Yeah, Intuit.
into it. Yeah. So um
Yeah, literally they went into it.
yeah. So yeah, interesting. Just funny that it's the Clippers, honestly. But yeah, good to send them off out of Staples. Finally the Lakers can claim it for themselves. I mean, it kind of already was, to be honest, right?
Actually, it's not
So,
Staples anymore. It's the
oh,
Crypt.
sorry, the crypt. I see. Even me, I'm still an old head at heart, I guess. I'm rocking my Lakers jersey or Lakers shirt and everything. But yeah, so good to send them off on that. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the highlights of that game, but uh to me that one just, really sparked uh the, I guess, sense of um or maybe not sparked, but really gave me the reassurance that I was looking for them being a championship contender.
I mean, I think that speaks to even what LeBron said. I think it was around the All-Star break. He was saying like they're good enough to beat any team, but they're also a team that can lose to anybody, I think. So, I mean, the next game really kind of showed that as well, right, with the Wizards. But going to the Clippers game first, I think it was really LeBron saying, I'm feeling good. I'm hitting the three ball. And if that's the case, just give me the ball and get out of the way. Because he was literally scoring or assisting on every single play that the Lakers were scoring on in the fourth quarter. And I watched the highlights. It kind of reminded me of like flashback to LeBron in Cleveland when they were playing the Raptors and it was like a game two conference semis and he just couldn't miss that game and it wasn't really the three ball in that game but the shots that he was hitting the fadeaway in the mid range just like all net. This time it was the three ball, right? No hesitation. He's pulling up from deep, taking heat checks and making that. And honestly, if you're the Clippers, there's really nothing you can do about that. If he's gonna hit the threes like that, just just pray that he misses because you're not gonna stop that. If LeBron gets going like that, I mean, you guys are gonna win every game, honestly. But that's not gonna happen. That's why Anthony Davis is there. That's why Austin Reeves is there. But every once in a while, he's still LeBron James and he can still put a team on his back for a certain moment and a certain spurt, I think. I think his days of, 48 minutes, he's going to dominate the game. I don't think that's where he's at in his career. But, can he have a quarter? Can he have a moment? Absolutely. So I think that was just the right time, right out of the All-Star break, right? They lose to the Warriors. Everyone's like, oh no, like, what's going on with the Lakers? We go game by game with this team, honestly. I feel like that we overreact to a loss and then we overreact to a win, honestly, sometimes. So, but this one is really, really impressive just because it's the Clippers. They always beat the Lakers for some reason in the regular season. And just a good confidence booster. And, I think transitioning to the next game against the Wizards, which I was watching a little bit actually, it was like this is like the classic trap game, the hangover game. You come off a emotional win, you're playing the worst team in the NBA, and you're on the verge of losing in this one. So, I mean, LeBron, he was okay. He wasn't Superman this game, but from what I was seeing, AR-15. I mean, the guy, like, he's LeBron trusts him with the ball late in the game, and he was making some clutch baskets just to get the game into overtime, I thought. So without him, they lose that game, honestly. So I think that speaks to the Lakers, you could say, depth on this team, because it doesn't always have to be LeBron, it doesn't always have to be AD. I think Austin Reeves, if he can be that third guy and have moments like that, you guys can beat anybody in this league, I think.
Yeah. Interesting. I want to get to the third guy later because um we have another guy in D'Angelo Russell who's playing very well right now too.
And he had a
But
good game
yeah,
today too.
yeah, and so yeah, just going to that point, I mean, I was feeling it as well. I'm like, oh man, this is the game. Like, just please, win this game. And they made it way too close, like you said. At least AD, had a monster game. He had
Mm-hmm.
40. LeBron, I mean, casual 31, you know, but just can't be. It's like every game matters so much. We can't let the attention slip for one of these teams that you are so confident and you just think you're gonna walk over, right? You still gotta go out there every night, and they know this, right? But gotta go out there when every game matters so much. So I'm just happy we survived the scare. It took OT, shouldn't have, but regardless, they were able to pull it off in the end. Um, so at least happy to see that one there. But the next one, in the game that LeBron does finally pass 40,000 points, um, you got the defending champs coming into town. And for 3 quarters, we played them really, really well. I, I thought, and I, I think this team is still gonna have to figure out an answer for how to stop Nikola Jokic because I don't know what their answer is. Without Vanderbilt, they had Rui on him a lot in the beginning, and then finally AD started to switch on him, and it's like it doesn't even matter because it's like he loves playing against AD. He just like the shots that he was hitting, it just is ridiculous. It's literally exactly like what happened in the conference finals last year when they played
Mm-hmm.
23 seconds of great defense. And Jokic is like, oh, okay, fine, guys, I'll score the ball. And he hits like a step back, fadeaway jumper over AD in his face and just switch like nothing but net, switched it. And I'm like, how do we even stop that
You
for
can't
that?
do anything about that. And it's not even like a step back because he's so like, I
It's
don't
like
want
a
to say I'm
fall. It's
I
like a
don't it's like a
fall
lean
away or
back,
lean
like
away.
yeah, fall away. That's a good one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the Nuggets right now just have the Lakers number. They still have a month, that they got to get through. But yeah, I'm not too upset just because we did play them really tough, for those 3 quarters. And then the MVP just took over. And sometimes you just got to tip your cap. But I was encouraged with at least how we were, keeping pace with them. But so yeah, that was a tough game. You're not going to win all these games in this tough stretch. Uh, but still feeling pretty good. I thought today's game was going to be big. Um,
Huge
because
win for you guys today.
coming off the loss, with the number one seeded Thunder coming into town, yeah, this was going to be a big game. Especially when you look at the next three: Kings, Bucks, then the Timberwolves. Yeah, that's a tough slate right there. Um, so I thought today's game was huge, and honestly, Matt, I think it really is the defense now. Um, without Jared Vanderbilt, the Lakers are still going to have to find a way to play good, solid defense. And they did today, holding the Thunder to 104 points, even with just want to check the stats here. I think so holding them to 104 points while turning the ball over 21 times, you know, um that can't happen. But I mean, if you're playing defense like how you're playing, right? Um, I guess good things will come from that. So yeah, I think that was a pretty sloppy, and I was scared we were just gonna let the Thunder kind of hang around, right? And then someone was gonna take over in the fourth. But great defense, I thought, on Chet and Shea for the most part. Shea's gonna get to the line. That's what he does. But for the most part, holding him to 20 points, hey, well, I'll take that, any day. And going back to your earlier point, Matt, with the third man, I think it is so great that they did decide to keep D'Angelo Russell. I was telling you, I wanted them to keep him at the trade deadline just because we could keep the continuity of how things were rolling. Um, and man, he's been, stepping up big time this year. Uh, had a insane heat check. What he hit like three threes in a minute to really put the dagger in the Thunder
Hmm.
in the middle of the fourth quarter. But it's just comforting to know that, yeah, AD and LeBron, they're gonna have to do their thing, right? But when we need that third guy to step up, it can either be D'Angelo, it can also be Austin Reeves. If one of them is not having a good night, there's confidence that one of them will get it going. Both guys are going to play down the stretch, and even Rui, who he's more hit or miss. I think it's like when he's hot, great, go to him because he can put up points as well. Um, but it finally feels like the team and the rotation is getting solidified, um, and playing together on offense. There's finally some flow. Guys are getting good looks, and it's still pretty LeBron and AD centric, I would say, but there's so much more opportunities when the ball is flowing with this offense. Could be D'Angelo, could be Austin, could be any one of those guys getting up a good look. So I mean, even Tarian Prince today finally had a bounce back game. He had 14 points off the bench. Um, so yeah, just good to see them moving forward. And yeah, I think D'Angelo, I think he's a great playmaker, but something about Austin Reeves, just he's crafty. He's gonna look to make the right play. And I trust D'Angelo Russell more as the shooter, you know. I think he's the best shooter on the team. I think, Austin Reeves, he's a good shooter, but he's not quite just that catch and shoot kind of guy
Yeah.
that D'Angelo Russell is, right? And when he
Hmm.
gets hot, I mean, you see at the end that third three, he had, I think, Jalen Williams draped all over him, and he just pulls it and cashes it. So yeah, with if D'Angelo gets it going like that, I don't know how you stop this team. Um, you can just run that high pick and roll. It can be with Austin Reeves and LeBron. It can be LeBron and AD, whatever it is. The chemistry is finally like coming together and paying off. The continuity, some of the Lakers fans, oh, Rob Pelinka didn't make a trade at the deadline, yada yada. But you're finally seeing like the chemistry and the continuity finally start to pay off in the perfect time, in my opinion, right? During the stretch run of key games coming up. So hopefully we can continue that going forward, Matt. We still got, we're still in the middle of this tough slate, right? We still got about, I'd say, about 5, 6 games left of tough opponents when every game is going to matter. But yeah, if we can just come out with 3 more wins here, I think out of these next games, that's going to be huge um, for this Lakers team. So yeah, man, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, they can continue the success they've been having.
Yeah, I think, well, before we get off the Lakers, I will say on this Thunder game, I thought this was a really important win for the Lakers psyche. And I would say that Clippers win, and especially this one, because I feel like, if you play a little, crystal ball, there's a possibility that, say the Lakers are in the play-in, they win the play-in, who would they potentially play? One of those teams might be the Thunder, whether it's like the one in the eight, two in the seven, right? Some kind of matchup like that. They kind of out for the most part, they dominated this game, really. The fourth quarter, guys, LeBron AD kind of sat out at the end, but they were pretty much in control of the game from start to finish. And I think that should be really encouraging for you guys to see because especially Anthony Davis. Shea is kind of like, yeah, he's an all-star for a reason. He's gonna have his moments. But I felt like Anthony Davis, he held Chet Holmgren in check. And if he's gonna do that and shut down a younger player, really impose his physical body on him, I would like your chances against the Thunder. I mean, the inexperience is a big factor in the playoffs, but if Anthony Davis, when I was watching, he was dominating. Like in that third quarter, he was crashing the glass. They could not stop him inside. So if you guys get that from him and you guys play this Thunder team, I wouldn't say you guys win, but I would like your chances. And it definitely would be a competitive series saying that. But Austin, D'Angelo, that's kind of like your wild cards, right? But I feel like Austin Reeves, like I said, like he was the clutch shot maker against the Wizards. I feel like that's kind of like the perfect storm, right? D'Angelo, he might be the guy that has more points. Like he might add the additional scoring, but who's gonna be that guy late in the game with under 4 minutes that kind of helps LeBron, plays off ball with him? That's Austin Reeves. Like he might not score 30 points a game like how D'Angelo can sometimes, but he gives you an efficient 16 to 20 when you need it late in the game. Oh, that's a scary, scary team, I think. So if they can fill those roles, I think you should be encouraged with how the Lakers are looking right now coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, so definitely encourage. And like I said, yeah, hopefully they can continue this stretch and finish it, above 500 because the West is so close. So we'll keep tabs on them. Hopefully, next week have more good news to report. But other than that, getting off the Lakers, now on to another team that, we weren't too high on, quite honestly, a couple weeks ago. But
I
seems like
did. I
they're,
was.
oh yeah, I wasn't as high on them. But seems like they're finally hitting their stride. Maybe it's the Pat Bev effect. Um, but hey, the Bucks, now 6-0 rolling. And today I thought a huge win, similar to the Lakers, but they get a huge win at home against the Clippers, fully loaded Clippers tonight, by the way. Paul George back, but the Bucks without Giannis still come out victorious against the Clippers, hold them to 106 points. Dame finally starting to look like Dame again. He had 41. And yeah, this Bucks team, impressive win coming from behind to beat this Clippers team. So just getting to it, Matt. I mean, this team, we know roster wise, this team is talented, right? You got Giannis, you got Dame, you still got a bunch of guys. I believe not even Chris Middleton is out,
Middleton didn't play.
or
Yeah.
he didn't play either. So there's really short-handed Bucks coming up big. And I don't know, Matt, maybe I think this kind of starts to shift my confidence level in them back to what it was at the beginning of the season. And I don't know if that's the Pat Bev effect. I don't know if that's Doc finally figuring something out post All-Star break. He finally had some time to think and reflect. But Bucks just playing really good basketball right now. And I just thought, without Giannis against a Clippers team who can't afford to drop any ground in the Western Conference, huge win and huge statement performance from Dame to, finally come out and have a Dame game, I guess you could say. So, yeah, man, I think my faith's starting to get restored in the Bucks a little bit. I mean, they still have a pretty tough slate coming up. They got the Warriors, they got the Lakers, Clippers again, and then the Kings, in Sacramento are a tough team. So they're still in the middle of a tough stretch themselves. But hey, if this team is going to start to click like that, I don't know. I think the Bucks, they're going to probably sneak right back into my top three contenders, and we're going to have the same ones. So yeah, Matt, I don't know. Any thoughts on the Bucks' recent success?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm surprised because they were my number two team out of the East. So this is making me feel a little good about my pick here. I will say they're nowhere near the Celtics right now. I think it's the Celtics and then the rest of the field in the East, possibly in the NBA, you could say. But As far as the Eastern Conference, yeah, the Bucks. Really, even with this turmoil, I still think talent alone can at least get them to the conference finals, assuming they match up against the Celtics. And right now, I'd probably pick the Celtics. But the Bucks, I just think it's partially Pat Bev. I think he has a huge factor just because of the personality, right? He's almost like a Draymond Green in terms of like he's gonna get in your face. He does not care if you're the 12th man on the bench or you're the superstar of the team. He will get in your face and tell you, play harder, do this, play better, be a leader, do what it takes to win. And when you have a guy like that, and I really like Jay Crowder. I know Jay Crowder, he's not having the greatest season, but guys like that, those gritty defenders willing to just kind of do the dirty work, you really need guys like that in the playoffs because it's a physical game, in a 7 game series against any series or against any team. So I think we're starting to see Pat Bev, like even Bobby Portis is kind of showing some flashes off the bench, 6 man of the year candidate, maybe. I don't know. But he had 28 and 16, which is pretty absurd off the
Huge
bench.
without Giannis.
Yeah, I
Huge.
mean, like he can play, off of Brook Lopez, right? One guy has it, the other guy might not. So it's okay. At least you got one of them going. So huge. And then Malik Beasley, he didn't have a good game today, but it's like I don't know, it's like the anti-LeBron effect. Like when you get off LeBron, like you start making shots. Kind of reminds me of like Jordan Clarkson. He's on the Cavs, couldn't make a shot, and then he gets traded, and then he turns into, you know, pre-Jordan Clarkson with the Lakers. So yeah, I don't know. This team is very interesting, but it all depends on Dame and Giannis at the end of the day. And Dame went off, and if Dame can turn back the clock to Rip City Dame, there really isn't a team I think that can beat them outside of the Celtics at this point in the East. Talent alone they're just that good on paper, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, if this Bucks team is fully loaded, no injuries to their key guys, and finally feels like they're starting to have a little bit of that chemistry and starting to believe in each other a little bit more. And yeah, that's going to be huge for a stretch run. But yeah, like you said, Celtics just absolutely obliterated the Warriors, who were, playing really good basketball as well. Yeah, Celtics, I think, are just a class above everyone in the whole league right now. So, uh, still our number one contender there, but yeah, we'll check back on these teams and report on more NBA news next week. But before we wrap our NBA stuff, Matt, Team USA basketball, I believe this summer, right, is the Olympics. So
Mm-hmm.
we got, right around the corner, uh chance for the Team USA basketball team to take gold once again. And so we have some of the players committed. So there's only a 12-man roster. There are 7 current commits going down the list. Looks like Steph, KD, LeBron, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, a little bit surprising there, and Drew Holiday. So 7 players locked in with quite a large field of talented players remaining to round out the roster. So Matt, why don't we do this? Why don't we each pick our 5 we would like to see um, to finally really shape out the rest of the roster. So I'll let you go first. Who do you think? Who do you got as
Ooh,
your 5?
and this is a tough pool
This
because
is tough. I was thinking the
the
exact
US
same thing.
is really, really deep. Wow, 5 guys out of the pool that we're looking at. So I would say obviously this is barring any injuries and health concerns that you're going to assume everyone is
Yeah,
healthy.
we'll say everyone is healthy and everyone wants to play. We'll just
Yeah.
assume everyone wants to play as well.
Wow. I think the lock for me is Anthony Davis.
I
He's
agree. Yep.
he's one. I mean, you got Embiid and AD. Oh my goodness, like that might
Hmm.
be good enough, honestly, with that interior presence. But AD is definitely one. I think you got to go Kawhi
I
if
agree.
he
Yep.
if he's
Gotta
healthy.
go
Kawhi
Kawhi.
is two. So we got 3 more. Whew,
This is
that's
where it starts
tough.
getting tough.
Yeah, I think those two are locks. I think if I'm just looking at the roster, like there really isn't a need for scoring. Like they're all so good.
Hmm.
But internationally, you kind of want guys like a Drew Holiday, right? He's probably not going to score, more than 10 points a
Right.
game, honestly, but one of the best on-ball defenders. So I need defenders. So AD, good defender. Kawhi can be a good defender. He's proven he was a defensive player of the year. I would probably go with Paul George. I would go with
Okay.
Paul George.
I was gonna agree with you there.
I think Paul George is another one there. Um, and then I probably for my fourth, I would probably maybe people would disagree on this one. I would pick Bam. I think
Okay.
Bam Adebayo, just a gritty, like he's almost like he's replacing Draymond Green's role in Team
Mm-hmm.
USA. Like, he's not gonna score, but he'll set screens, rebound. He can facilitate as a big, which I think is huge. He can guard, 1 through 5. That's huge in international ball, I think. So his versatility and his skill set, I think that's a huge asset. And then the fifth, the last guy. Oh, this is where
So
it's
tough.
tough. Like maybe I'm gonna go with just my personal fan favorite, but I would pick Dame just because it's Dalla. And could you imagine Dame and Steph just spreading the floor? Like you gotta pick them up from half court, and oh by the way, you got LeBron James coming down full court, So it's like, what do you do with that? There's so much floor spacing. So I would pick Dame as my fifth guy or the 12th man, which is pretty absurd to me. Dame as your 12th man. So that would be
Yeah.
my five reserves that you would fill in. Because I
Yeah,
think
that
the starters are already the locks, if you think about it.
mm-hmm.
Like Steph is a starter, LeBron is starting, Embiid as a center, KD and Tatum. I think that's a solid starting five for
Mm-hmm.
any team. So I don't know. You think that I hit it on the nose right there?
I mean, that's pretty good. The only see, this is honestly genuinely so tough. Um,
Okay, I will say outside of Dame, the one guy I was considering was Kyrie.
okay, that's a good one.
But I would go with Dame. I think I just picked Dame just because it's the spacing, the
Mm-hmm.
ability to shoot the deep three.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that point. I was actually gonna go with Dame as one of them. So AD, Kawhi. I was gonna go Dame just because, you know, you can kind of run the same offense with him and Steph on the floor. I know Dame
That's
isn't
true.
quite that same level of shooter, right? But I don't think they have to be on the floor at the same time,
That's a good
because I
point.
mean, defensively
That's a
they
good
are a
point.
liability, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But offensively, yeah, like you said, for them to both be able to pull up from 30 to 35 and have to pick up from there, I think that's huge. Um,
I will say one thing about international ball, the 3-point line is closer. So it's gonna look like they're just shooting from half court. Like
mhm,
that's how lethal they are as
yeah.
shooters.
Um, so yeah, I agree with you there. It's close between Dame and Kyrie, honestly, because you have the chemistry that Kyrie has with, Braun and KD, um
Even Tatum,
and
they were
Tatum.
teammates.
Yeah, so it's tough, but yeah, something about Dame, just his ability to shoot it off the dribble or catch and shoot. For me, I have to put him on there. Oh, the other two, it is tough, but I was gonna agree with you. Because if I'm not mistaken, if it is international rules, right? There's no defensive 3 seconds, I believe, in international play, right? So you can just have a big anchored down there. So yeah, if Embiid is gonna need a spell, AD is gonna need a spell. I like the Bam pick. I can roll with that. Honestly, I'll just be honest. The last two spots, it comes down to three guys for me. So it's Bam, Paul George, and honestly Jimmy. Because I think Jimmy provides a little
Jimmy
bit of
Butler.
that, tenacious Miami culture, right? Um, and I think that's something that he's not going to be selfish, I think, and trying to look to score, but another guy that's just going to do all the dirty work. He's going to bring the intensity. Um, so maybe this is the Clippers bias in me, but I'm gonna go with Jimmy over Paul
Or Paul George.
George. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is, but it's just because I know Jimmy's gonna bring that tenacious defense. Honestly, I would pick Paul George over Bam because
Okay.
That's kind of what I like a little bit more. It's just tough because I don't know if you have two versus three bigs. I think you if you can get them all an equal amount of rest down the stretch. Bam, because Bam is not a big ego guy, right? He doesn't need to be in the game. Um, so you know what? I'm gonna roll with Bam slightly over Paul George because I just want a little bit more defensive versatility. I know Paul George can shoot the ball, and get hot, but
Three
yeah,
and D.
I'm gonna just have to go with Jim, the two Heat guys. So,
Okay.
that's gonna round out my roster. I think similar thinking. We're gonna need defense with some of the guys out there. A little bit older, not as defensive minded besides Drew and Joel, and I know KD still plays defense, but yeah, I think that's a good roster. I think the last five are going to be really tough to pick. I mean, we're leaving off guys Anthony Edwards, who I was also thinking about. Um, Donovan Mitchell's a stud, De'Aaron Fox, uh, Jalen Brunson. All these guys are all stars, right? So
Tyrese.
yeah, Tyrese leaving out all stars off this team. It's tough because there's a lot of good guys, and I think a lot of good role players that would be good in their positions as well. But when you got to pick the best of the best, I guess you got to make some tough decisions if you're Team USA. So I don't know if the GM has anything to do with it, but yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see
Is
that
that a
final five
Colangelo,
end
right?
up.
Jerry Colangelo.
Yeah, so was it? Well, I was saying Le GM, Mr. LeBron. So I don't know if he has anything to do with it. But um but yeah, I think either way, this USA team should still be the favorites. I know international play is getting better and better exponentially each year, but I still think this team USA should be the one of the heavier favorites to win it all. So I think chemistry
Yeah.
we've seen in recent years is important. Um, but just outside of that, we need the glue guys to kind of uh bring out the intensity uh in the rest of the guys. So um yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. But I think either way, yeah, Team USA should be good to go.
I'm just praying that Steph, LeBron, and KD stay healthy and they can play because I think it would just be so cool to watch them. Not an all-star game because
Finally,
they're like, what's whatever,
yeah.
but like they're on the same team and they're playing for something. So they're gonna play hard. And it's like, wow, we really get to see
Well, we've seen
like,
LeBron and
wow,
KD in the past,
crazy.
but finally getting to see LeBron and Steph, I think,
Hmm.
on the same court playing competitively,
And this
that'll
is
be
Steph's
one.
first Olympics, which is
Mhm.
crazy. And maybe his last. I don't know. So
I would think probably his last.
definitely
Uh,
LeBron's last for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I don't know with that guy. You never really, you never really know with how he's still going,
I
but
guess if he wants to play, he can. Yeah,
one could assume this is his last one. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's going to be a tough cut to see who they finally go with. Um, but anyway, Matt, moving off the NBA now, why don't we get into some UH basketball? So why don't you give us our UH basketball update of the week?
all right. Well, they had their last road stretch of the season. Thank goodness, because they are a headache on the road, honestly. But tough matchups, honestly. They play UC Davis, who's a top team in the conference this year, and then UC Riverside always plays them tough. Kind of the two teams in the middle of the pack, so a lot to play for. I think they played UC Davis first on Thursday. They end up losing that game 75-63. Um, really outside of Arnold De Silva, like there wasn't really much going on for UH offensively, which is a little bit concerning because a lot of times it's encouraging to see Bernardo be aggressive and whatnot. Like that's great. He should be aggressive, but if he's our leading scorer, like I still think that's a huge problem because you got guys like McCoy, Justin McCoy, Noel Coleman, guys who can really put the ball in the basket, even Munoz, right? So for Bernardo to lead the team in scoring by a large margin is a little concerning. But my takeaway is, you know, UC Davis scores 75 points. but two guys combined for 60 on that team. Like, what? Like, okay, Elijah Pepper, he's their main guy. He's gonna get his numbers, but you allowed Ty Johnson to also score 30 on 11 of 16 shooting. Like, I get Elijah Pepper. I can understand now, and he's gonna get his shots up, but don't let the other guy beat you. Like, that's the thing, right? You can have one guy score, but you gotta take away everybody else, or vice versa. But it was just literally a two-man wrecking crew. They couldn't stop him. It was their day. And they just need to do a better job taking away, I think, the second option, because UC Davis is the Elijah Pepper show, and Ty Johnson is he's a nice Robin, but you can't let him be Batman, I think. So that was the issue there. They end up falling, but then luckily they were able to get a split on the road, which is huge. They somehow squeak out a 76-73 win in overtime against UC Riverside, but this one was a little concerning for me just because of the team. I don't want to say chemistry, but just like hierarchy in a way of who's getting the ball, because it was a close game. Um, Bernardo da Silva, Noel Coleman were saying, "Put the team on my back and let's go." Uh, Coleman finished with 31 points. He was just amazing. That was the best game possibly I've seen him play in his UH career. He was aggressive. He was wanting the ball, demanding the ball. Um, really, really strong. He started strong, had a little bit of a dry spell in the second half, but Bernardo was able to kind of keep the team afloat while, Coleman had his down moments. And then late in the game, Coleman got the team back in rhythm. But a little bit concerning. I only say this because at the end of the game, uh, Riverside, they were kind of attacking the paint. And I don't like to rip on this guy, but Javon McClanahan was a huge liability in this game. And he was the target on defense for them. I think their guard, what is his name? Hargraves, number 24. He was just saying, "Give me the ball." He looked like Giannis out there. You know how Giannis goes, he gets the ball at the top of the key and he just like goes downhill. That's literally what the guy was doing over a 5'8" guard. So either he's getting the basket or he's getting fouled. Luckily, he's not the greatest free throw shooter, but a liability on defense. And then we get late in the game and we have a tie game here, like 11 seconds left. I'm thinking, okay, we got a tie game. Worst thing we're going to do is go to overtime. But you know what? With how Noel Coleman was playing, get him the ball, like almost like either you do a pick and roll with him and Bernardo, or you just say, Coleman, 1-on-1, here's your time. Just take it over, win us this game right now. If not, we're going to overtime. Dude doesn't even get to touch the ball because, number 3 on our team brings the ball up the floor, which is fine, but he doesn't even pass the ball. Like, there was no screen, like no nothing. It's like he's isolating. He like goes to the corner. He shoots a fadeaway, like he's on the baseline, basically. He shoots it over the backboard. It hits the top of the backboard and like rolls over to like the shot clock. Like, like what? Like, that's the kind of things that really piss me off about this player. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, ego. Like, dude, like you didn't score a point this entire game. Your backcourt mate is on fire. Get him the ball. Why do you have to be the hero? Like, you're the guy just because you hit one buzzer beater shot in Diamond Hand Classic. You think you're all that? Like, no, that's called a selfish player to me. Like, that's any common sense to me if you're playing basketball. If your teammate is cooking, especially a guard, like, you gotta let him go and you give him the ball. So I think I don't even blame it on all Javon too, because I think that's part of it on Ganot's fault too as a coach. Like, why would you even run the risk of not getting Noel Coleman the ball in that situation with a chance to win the game? Like personally, if it was me, and I was telling Hunter this, if it was me, I would have took out Javon because we're not trying to play defense here. We're trying to worst case, you're going to overtime. Take out Javon, you put Juan Munoz in. He doesn't need to touch the ball. Just have him stand in the corner and just be there for spacing. And then you let Noel Coleman dribble the ball up because they weren't pressing. They weren't pressing, so you could have just gave it to Noel. He can dribble it up and do what he wants, and he can be the facilitator. So you didn't even give your player a chance, but you decided to put it in the other guy's hand because he's Jovan McClanahan. Like, no, like honestly, I thought they were gonna lose the game after that. But Coleman put the team on his back in overtime and they survived. But long story short, it wasn't pretty, but they end up getting a win, a huge win actually, because now they control their destiny to a top four seed in the tournament, which is huge because a top four seed gets you a first round bye in the tournament. They're not going to get top two and get the double bye, but you can get a first round bye. That's huge in tournament play. So if they beat CSUN on Wednesday, I think they have the inside track. But if they lose to CSUN, they're eliminated from that first round bye, and they would have to play the full length of the tournament, which is a tough road ahead, and nobody wants to do that if you're trying to go and win the conference championship. Like that's just a bad matchup for anybody in any conference. So huge games this week, senior night on Saturday as well. So they have to go 2-0 because otherwise, one and done in the tournament guarantee. I'll put it that way. So at least they have a shot. They have a shot to kind of salvage their season, but they have to go 2-0 this week at home for sure. But a scary, scary road trip, man. Whew. I was so pissed. So pissed.
Well, at least they still have control of their own destiny.
They do.
That's the
That's
most
the main thing.
important part. So, um, yeah, we'll we'll see. Hopefully, you have good news for us next week when we talk about UH going into the tournament. So, I mean, it is March officially now, so just about that time, and I have a feeling that with how college basketball has been this year, there's really no confident one seed, I think, in any conference. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think, an NIL transfer portal effect we're starting to see, but no powerhouse this year. The number one teams, the top ranked teams are all losing. They're all multiple loss teams, which, we weren't used to really seeing anymore. But I think the diversity of college basketball is good for the game. Uh, and yeah, March Madness is gonna be crazy because it's probably gonna be like some 8 seed that ends up winning the whole thing or something. You never know, right? So, but yeah, we'll keep
True.
tabs on that. Um, as March Madness is just around the corner. So let's end our sports talk with our last topic here. Spring training finally in full effect now. Um, so just getting to some of the I guess if you want to say winners or losers, Matt. I mean, if I'm, this is not even biased. I think the Dodgers are probably the biggest winner. I think, I don't think anyone is really good to debate that. I thought the Giants had a sneaky good offseason once again, kind of course, but they recently signed Chapman. They get the Korean MVP, right? Um, so yeah, a little
Yep.
bit,
Lee.
yeah, sneaky, good signings once again by the Giants. Um, but yeah, I don't know, Matt. I don't. Who do you think is a loser? I don't really know who the losers are per se, but
I
if you
would
had to
I
pick one,
if I had to pick one, I actually agree with you on the winners. I mean, the Dodgers, you got the mega superstar Otani and the other Japanese boy that was supposed to be on my team, but
hmm
whatever, right? You guys win the offseason. Giants, not the big stars, but still some nice pieces. I think Jorge Soler is a nice pickup. Obviously, Matt Chapman. I think they have Robbie Way, Jordan Hicks. Believe Jordan Hicks went to the Giants too.
I think
So
he's gonna try to be a start
Yeah,
or
that's
as
what I heard.
well,
They're
right?
gonna convert him, so it's like you got 100 miles per hour coming at you for 5, 6 innings now. So I mean, right, obviously Young Ho Lee, he's gonna be their leadoff hitter. Um, Pretty sneaky. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
Maybe
I
they're gonna
forgot.
push the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
Soler. You like you said, yeah, Soler and Robbie Ray too. So
Yeah, but I would say the loser for me, I don't know. It's between definitely the Mets. I feel like the Mets missed out just a little bit, just a little bit. Right, they were in on Yamamoto. They whiffed on him. Even to the Yankees somewhat. They were looking at Soto, but not really serious contenders. So they didn't really have the big star. But I think honestly, the biggest loser is the Blue Jays. Are the Blue Jays? I think the Blue Jays, like, they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're gonna be in playoff contention, right? They still have their core, Bichette, Vlad, right? Burrios, Gosman. I mean, they got good players. But to go from, oh my gosh, we're gonna get Otani. Actually, no, I take that back. It was, oh my gosh, we're gonna trade for Juan Soto. They're in the hunt. Like, we can get him from the Padres. Like he wants to come east. Oh, but the Yankees get Juan Soto. Well, it's okay, but Otani's the big fish out there. We can get him. Like he's gonna be, the face of Canada and Japan. Um, oh my gosh, yeah, he's flying to Toronto, right? There was that whole clip where you were freaking out. Oh my God, like he's flying to Toronto. He's gonna sign the contract, and
mhm.
then the next day, oh, he's in LA anyway. Oh, but he's gonna stay with the Dodgers. Just move down the street from Angel Stadium. So you go from missing on possibly the two biggest stars that were quote unquote available. You lose Matt Chapman, who was a platinum glove winner, still a power hitter at third. He goes to the Giants. But who do you replace him with? IKF. IKF is going to be your start. No disrespect to IKF. Honestly, like I'm glad like he gets a chance to be an everyday player. I mean, he's a team guy. I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him that he gets to start every day. But just as a Blue Jays fan, like your psyche, you go from having Soto and Otani maybe to IKF, you know Kiermaier. Like that's it. Like that's kind of like the players that you pick up. So I think they're the biggest losers because they were in on all these big cats and they whiffed. They whiffed bad.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I don't know if I really have a loser. I guess
Maybe the Angels.
yeah, I guess you could say the Angels because they don't really do anything. I was gonna say too, Matt, did the Red Sox really do anything either? I feel like they've been
Mm.
fairly quiet as well. Um,
They're always losers in my book, but yeah, that's a good point. They've
I
been
mean,
pretty quiet.
I haven't heard, them really go after the big names.
I
Um,
think they're in on Montgomery from what I'm hearing. Like they're seriously considering signing him, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, I'm really not that worried about the Red Sox. I mean, they traded with us. Like, who the heck? Like, when did the
mhm.
Yankees and Red Sox ever trade? And we got Alex Verdugo for, I don't want to say a nobody, but it's not like we gave up serious compensation. So, and Alex Verdugo was a key piece for them, and that's who they got in the Mookie trade. So it's like they're losing all these guys that they're giving up, big time names for. So yeah, maybe if they get Montgomery, it's like yay,
Mhm.
yippee. But that's a good one. I think the Red Sox. I like we always rip on the Angels, but that organization is just a disgrace, honestly. And I know Mike Trout says the right things, like, he wants to be there for the Angels, he's there for the long run, but it's
Get out, like
like,
get
dude,
out.
him like just like he's like the one asset that you guys have left. Like you didn't win with Otani and Trout, and you never won with Trout before. So it's like, what makes you think you're gonna win with him now when he's getting older? He's not playing, 150 games a year. He's gonna miss some. He's gonna have a DL or IL stint at some point. Like, wouldn't you wanna like just say, okay, we lost Otani, like we didn't get him. Let's just rebuild the farm. Like, we'll be good in 2 years maybe. and get some young prospects for Mike Trout. But they want to keep him, like, for what? And you have Anthony Rendon's contract, like it's just a poorly run organization. And I always go back, they could have traded Otani last year. Everybody kind of expected him to go to the Dodgers anyway, but they were
That's what
stubborn enough.
they fumbled. They should have traded with
They
us. They should have to just get the package. I don't know what convinced them they could keep him after the season they were having at that point. Um, but we did talk about it. It's like you figure he's gonna leave anyway. Um, he's worth risking an entire season for. And that's
Mhm.
what they did. I mean, they went big with, Giolito, right? That didn't pan out at all, but they said we can't just let this $1 billion ad, or revenue stream just walk out the door. We got to at least try to do something because who knows when the next Otani is going to come around, if ever, right? So at least they tried. I mean, I respect them for trying. Logically, probably makes more sense to, get as much value as you can because he probably was gonna leave anyway. But I respect the try.
I disagree because the Yank no, but seriously, like
Oh
the
yeah,
Yank, like I can go back to the Yankees. Like it was 20, they were 2016 season. That was the year before Judge, like the Judge years, like the baby bombers. They were out of the play, or like they were like a fringe wild card team. But I give Brian Cashman credit. He pulled the plug. He said, "Nope. Like, even if we make the wild card, like, what are we really gonna do? Like, we're not built to win this year." He sold. Like, he traded Chapman to the Cubs, and look who we got. We got Gleyber Torres, and then Chapman came right back. So he was there for half the season. He won a World Series, and he came back to the Yankees. And they traded Andrew Miller. They got Clint Frazier, who was the young prospect at that time. They literally cleaned house, and that's the whole beginning of how we had that baby bomber era for 3-4 years. So like if you're like a fringe team, like you gotta kind of use like common sense at that point. Like the ultimate goal, you're trying to win a World Series, you're trying to win a championship.
right,
If you
right,
really can't win that, like it's okay. Like only one team is gonna win at the end of the day. So and you're gonna have those teams that are like, 5, 6 teams that are yep, we have a shot. We're gonna push all the chips in and just hope for the best. But a lot of those teams are fringe teams, and I think the guys who sell and just make that decision have a better chance of getting back to contention faster. And the Angels have just rotted in this mediocrity and stubbornness for the last how long has Mike Trout been on the team? Like that's literally how long they've been bad. Like ever since maybe Vlad and K Rod back in the early 2000s, that's when they were last good consistently. So they're the ultimate losers, but I would say the offseason, to go back to the question, probably the Blue Jays, because you miss out on the big fish in the sea with Otani and Soto.
yeah, okay. Well, just to kind of wrap up the rest of how spring training has been going so far. Um, yeah, we got Kike, like we said, Matt Chapman with the Giants, Zach Wheeler extended, big one, Jose Altuve extended. So
Mm.
he's gonna finish out with the Astros. I think that's a good move for them. Um, but signings aside, Matt, let's get to some of the actual baseball part. So Shohei with the Dodgers, I mean, the 1, 2, 3 combo. I'm so excited. I'm just praying those top three guys stay healthy because I mean, Shohei is at spring training. Yeah, I get it, but if this is just a little glimpse of what is to come, um, he's hitting, I think, like not even joking, 800 or something. Um, seven. What is he? Let me go check. 714 is his current spring training average. I think his OPS was in the twos, like 2000s, you could say. So yeah, pretty good spring training so far as just a DH. Like I said, I don't even really get too amped up over the regular season. I'm not gonna get amped up over spring training, but it is nice to see him in that Dodger blue playing well. Seems to be getting along with everyone there. I mean, who can't, who's not gonna get along with Shohei, right? Um, but good to see him out there having fun. And then really quick to touch on Yamamoto. I mean, his stuff looks really good. A
Oh,
lot of
he's the real deal.
yeah. I mean, in just what 2 inning outing, I mean, you see the electricity on his fastball, which is crazy because typically, yeah, like almost like a Lincecum, right? Like he throws hard, but when they have like a little bit of the smaller frame, um, to have a fastball like that, it's just even more impressive to me. Um, and then his
That
secondary
splitter is
stuff,
so disgusting. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. I
I
don't even know
mean,
how you hit that.
good luck trying to time up his fastball and then hitting the splitter off of it. Yeah, forget it. Um, so really good stuff. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do. Even Glass now has had a really good spring training so far. I really think it'll be between those two guys for the number one. Um, but yeah, I feel good as long as both of those guys can stay healthy. Come September, October time, when it really counts, then I'll be more than happy. Because yeah, this team, I think they're built to win. Uh, right now. They got a lot of good pieces. Just want to see how the bullpen plays out because last year that was kind of our one of our Achilles heels, right? Was our bullpen. I mean, well, other than that last series when it was our starting pitching, but yeah, so far so good, Matt. Um, with the two boys from Japan. So, oh, and by the way, sorry everyone, or to all the ladies out there, but Shohei is officially married now. So sorry. I mean, I guess he's now off the market. He can really put all his focus into baseball now. Um, but
Man, she's set for life, man.
yeah, you want to talk about set for life. Um, 700 million.
All the ladies gotta go after Yamamoto now.
Well, I mean, and he's young too, so hopefully LA doesn't get too crazy of a hold on
Ooh,
him.
that's
But
true. The
no, I mean, but
paparazzi.
honestly, with Shohei there, like he's gonna keep him in check to a certain point. Kind of remind him be humble and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. But how are the Yankees doing that? How are you feeling about the Yankees spring training so far?
I mean, I don't look too much in the wins and losses, right? I just want to see flashes and hey, like you said, Shohei, he's just showing glimpses of greatness. Well, my big acquisition is doing just that. Juan Soto, at one point, his OPS was three something, which is you're never gonna see that, honestly. That's not sustainable. But I think it's now like two something. So he kind of dropped a little bit. Oh my goodness, that's the end of the world. But man, Soto, he looks good. He really does look good, and I'm really excited to see you know him play out in a full season because yeah, him and Judge, yeah, you guys might have the three-headed monster, but I'll put Judge and Soto as a duel up against any duel in the batting lineup. Like that's as good as it gets right there. But I think for me the big thing is the pitching. I need to see guys step up, um, really solidify guys in the rotation. Marcus Stroman has had a couple, or he had a nice start recently, which is good to see. Clark Schmidt had a good outing today, 4 shutout innings. So I think Nestor, he's looking pretty good. I think Rodon, gosh, he's the one that's like, if he can find his old self, like he can really solidify that number two spot in the rotation. But he's had a couple, rough outings. I think even in live VP, I think he gave up like 4 home runs to our minor leaguers, which is not a good sign. But he was trying to play it off like, oh, these guys are good for a reason, yada yada yada. But like 4 home runs in a day in a live batting practice, that's not good. So I mean, like, at least not in a game. But I still want to see flashes. And Garrett Cole, like whatever. He's Garrett Cole. Just he's gonna stay healthy. If that's the case, he'll be fine. But yeah, I think I'm excited. The really interesting thing is the Blake Snell drama that I'm just shocked that it's reached this far. It's March. The season, well, for the Dodgers, the season starts in what 2.5, 3 weeks. because you guys play that Korean series. So it's like, how are you not in spring training already at this point? So if I still think if we get him, like it's a huge win for this off season, but I think the luxury tax is obviously what's holding this back. I think we have the third highest payroll. We're over the luxury tax by a few million, but if we add like a $30 million contract, we're gonna have to pay for it next year, I think, or this year and next year. So I think it's tough, but if you're going all in, like, how do you? You're the Yankees, right? So we'll see. But I'm liking the Dodge guys we got. I think Ferguson looks pretty good. So thanks for him. He looks great. But yeah, I'm encouraged as long as everybody stays healthy. I think for the most part, nothing serious injury wise for key players. So just crossing my fingers that everyone's healthy by March 28th, at least for the Yankees' sake.
Yeah, so hopefully this is the Dodgers Yankees World Series year that we've been praying for, but we'll have to come back and revisit that in October/November timeframe. But other than that, Matt, I think we hit all our topics we wanted to talk about this week. So why don't you give us our foolish fool of the week?
Foolish fool, huh? I'm glad to say this one this week. I already touched on him earlier in an earlier segment, but my foolish fool is none other than Jovan McClanahan, point guard for the UH basketball team. Just a terrible, selfish play, I guess, at the end of the game. Trying to be the hero, not putting the team first when you have a backcourt mate that's literally cooking. Could have gave him the ball, but no, you try to shoot a shot. And not only do you miss the shot, you don't even hit the rim. You hit the top of the backboard and it hits the shot clock at the top of the backboard. So, yeah, like really, just because you hit one shot, you think you're that dude. Like, no, come on. You've literally been holding us back. I said it. We've been good without you. We don't need you, but Ganat loves you. So, we're going to need you to play well and play smart and not just don't mess anything up at this point. But, if we get flashes like this, especially in tournament play, you're gonna sink this team with that selfish mindset. So for that, he is my foolish fool of the week this week.
Okay, sounds good, Matt. Um, Well, turning to the state of the 808, I'm just gonna go and highlight a guy who participated in the NFL draft combine this past weekend. Got a touch on Roman Wilson, who sounds like he's gonna be uh projected in the mid rounds. I'm guessing I don't think he ran the 40 he was hoping to run. Still sub 4.4. I think he ran a 4.39 40. So yeah, in the 4.3s, but I think he would have liked to get it down a little bit more. But he's gonna be a guy, I think, honestly, no bias here, but someone that maybe Miami could take a look at, or maybe even like a Niners type of vibe. Just because, he's been talking about he played at Michigan, he's used to the grit that comes with that. And he said, like no block, no rock. So like kind of that mentality of, you got to do the dirty work in there. So I think he'll definitely get drafted. I don't think there's any doubt with that. It's just hopefully he can go to a good system that can use him. He's probably gonna be a slot inside guy, right? I'm guessing at the next level. So yeah, hoping the best for him. And also Talia. I think Talia is an interesting one because I think he's kind of hovering. I don't even think he got a combine invite. So I think he's gonna be hovering in that kind of mid to late slash undrafted, range of players. But as we know, there's gems everywhere in the NFL draft. So, but yeah, Roman
Yeah.
Wilson, hopefully, we see him off the board. I'm hoping in the third, like within the first three, that would be really nice. So,
Do you think he's gonna be a top like three rounds, like top three
Yeah.
round
Oh,
pick.
sorry. Yeah. Top three
Ooh,
rounds.
that's a
Or
day two then.
I'm talking like third round. Uh, realistically,
That's
I could
good.
see him going anywhere in the 4 to 5
Yeah.
even. Just because he's not a big guy and he didn't run the fastest 40, you know.
Well, they did
Um,
have Xavier where they,
right.
run through everyone.
I mean, he was still a top 10, he was still a top 10 speed in the combine, but we'll see how he kind of turns out. Um, yeah, but hopefully he gets drafted to a good team. I think more than anything, that's the most important part. So,
Hmm.
uh, other than that, Matt, why don't you wrap us up here with our sports fact of the day?
All right. We are recording on March 4th, and we'll go back to 1927. Uh, Babe Ruth, arguably, you could say the GOAT of baseball. He became the highest paid player in MLB history at the time. He signed a 3-year, $70,000 contract with the New York Yankees. Like 3 years, 70K. Man, I wish guys would take that money now. We can build a roster around you, but crazy how times have changed because 70K is probably how much Shohei is making
In a
right
game or
now in
something?
the
I don't
last
even
five
know.
seconds. Like,
Yeah,
so how times have changed in the economy, I guess you could say.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good one to end on. A little bit shorter pod this week, but yeah, Matt. Well, we'll keep our eye on basketball and especially college basketball as we kind of get into the March Madness area. So, other than that, thank you everyone as usual for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week.